You think cave bears and saber-toothed cats were what kept Neanderthal men awake at night? Wrong. DNA evidence from 45,000 years ago tells a different story. In the valleys of what we now call France and Spain, male Neanderthals faced something far more terrifying than any predator. Paternity uncertainty. The fear that the child you fed and protected might not carry your genes. Archaeological evidence shows they developed brutal social systems to control this anxiety. Male coalitions, female isolation, violence that left marks on bones we can still read today. How do we know? What did they do about it? And why did this fear drive them to behaviors that may have sealed their extinction? If you value documented prehistoric history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from paleogenetic studies and archaeological bone analysis. Now back to the story. The Neanderthal Genome Project cracked open 45,000 years of secrets in 2010. Lead researcher Svante Pabo's team at the Max Planck Institute extracted DNA from bones found in Vindija Cave, Croatia. What they found changed everything we thought we knew about our ancient cousins. Modern human DNA carries 1 to 4% Neanderthal sequences. But here's the twist that shook the scientific world. Neanderthal mitochondrial DNA, passed only through mothers, shows up in exactly 0 modern humans. None. Not one trace. This means something happened to Neanderthal women. Either they died out completely, or male Neanderthals prevented them from reproducing with outsiders. The genetic evidence points to the second option. Extreme mate guarding, a system so rigid it left permanent marks in the archaeological record. Site after site across Europe tells the same story. Krapina Cave in Croatia, La Chapelle-aux-Seine in France, El Cidron in Spain, Neanderthal remains show patterns of violence that don't match predator attacks or hunting accidents. Cut marks on rib bones, fractured skulls from blunt force trauma, defensive wounds on forearms. The victims? Disproportionately young adult males and older females. Dr. Antonio Rosas analyzed 350 bone fragments from El Cidron Cave. His team found evidence of systematic cannibalism targeting specific individuals. Not starvation, cannibalism, selective violence. The bones belonged to a family group, 6 adults, 3 adolescents, and 3 children. DNA analysis revealed they were closely related, but the cut marks and fracture patterns suggest they were killed by other Neanderthals, not animals. The cave paintings weren't the only thing early humans inherited from our ancient interactions. Violence patterns show up in Neanderthal sites that mirror modern honor-based conflict. Shanidar Cave in Iraq housed 10 individuals. 4 showed evidence of interpersonal violence. Shanidar 3 had a wound from a wooden spear that penetrated his left lung. The angle and depth suggest face-to-face combat, not a hunting accident. But why this level of male-on-male violence? The answer lies in what anthropologists call the paternal uncertainty hypothesis. Male mammals invest energy in offspring that may not carry their genes. For a species with internal fertilization and hidden ovulation, males can never be completely certain of paternity. This creates evolutionary pressure for behaviors that increase confidence in genetic relatedness. Modern hunter-gatherer societies show us the playbook. The Yanomami of the Amazon rainforest practice female infanticide at rates reaching 30% in some villages. The ache of Paraguay, abandoned children whose fathers die, leading to mortality rates of 60% for fatherless children. These aren't aberrations. They're adaptations to paternity uncertainty in small group societies where every calorie counts. Neanderthals faced the same pressures with higher stakes, harsh ice age conditions, limited resources, small group sizes averaging 15 to 25 individuals per band. Every mouth to feed mattered, every hunting partner counted. Raising another male's offspring could mean the difference between survival and extinction. The fossil record shows Neanderthal groups were highly inbred. Genetic diversity was extremely low compared to modern human populations. This wasn't accidental. It was the result of deliberate mate choice and territorial behavior designed to keep bloodlines pure and paternity certain. Analysis of Neanderthal dental enamel reveals mobility patterns that support this theory. Researchers examined strontium isotope ratios in teeth from sites across Europe. Results show females move between groups more than males, but not freely. The pattern suggests controlled exchange, likely through capture, trade, or forced marriage alliances between male coalitions. At La Ferracie Cave in France, archaeologists found the remains of 8 Neanderthals spanning multiple generations. Trauma analysis revealed a clear pattern. Adult males showed injuries consistent with weaponry, spear points embedded in ribs, fractured skulls from stone tools. Adult females showed different trauma patterns, broken bones from rough handling, evidence of repeated physical stress. The most revealing site sits in the Vindija Hills of Croatia. Layer G1 contained remains from 12 individuals dating to 40,000 years ago. DNA analysis revealed something extraordinary. All the males were closely related: brothers, fathers, sons. The females came from different genetic lineages entirely. This suggests patrilocal residence with female exchange, a system designed to maximize male genetic certainty while maintaining minimal population diversity. Neanderthal tool technology supports the paternity fear hypothesis. Unlike early modern humans who developed long-distance trade networks and diverse tool traditions, Neanderthals stuck to localized technologies. Mysterian toolkits remained virtually unchanged for 200,000 years. This conservatism suggests closed social networks resistant to outside influence. But the most damning evidence comes from the extinction pattern itself. Neanderthal populations crashed between 45,000 and 28,000 years ago. This coincides exactly with the arrival of modern humans in Europe. Competition for resources certainly played a role, but genetic evidence suggests something more specific. Modern human mitochondrial DNA shows explosive diversity during this period. Multiple maternal lineages contributed to the gene pool. This suggests modern humans were more successful at integrating outside mates and maintaining genetic diversity. While Neanderthal males fought to keep their bloodlines pure, modern human groups were mixing, adapting, and thriving. The irony cuts deep. Neanderthal males evolved behaviors to ensure paternity certainty: mate guarding, female exchange, male coalitions, violence against rivals. These adaptations worked for hundreds of thousands of years in stable Ice Age environments. But when modern humans arrived with different social strategies, Neanderthal rigidity became a fatal weakness. Archaeological evidence from Châtelperronian sites in France shows desperate attempts at cultural adaptation in the final millennia. Neanderthal groups began copying modern human technologies: bone tools, decorative objects, new hunting strategies. But it was too little, too late. Their social systems couldn't adapt fast enough. The final Neanderthal populations survived in isolated refuges: Gibraltar, northern Spain, southern Italy, small groups clinging to familiar territories. DNA from these final populations shows even lower diversity than earlier sites. The mate-guarding systems that once ensured survival had become evolutionary dead ends. Recent excavations at Cueva de los Aviones in Spain revealed one last desperate strategy: shell beads and pigments dating to 50,000 years ago, evidence of symbolic behavior appearing suddenly in Neanderthal sites. Some researchers interpret this as attempts to attract or communicate with modern human groups, trading symbols for genes, but the archaeological record shows no evidence of successful integration. Bone chemistry from Spy Cave in Belgium reveals the metabolic cost of Neanderthal mate guarding. Nitrogen isotope analysis shows adult males consumed 30% more protein than females. This wasn't just size difference. Males were burning massive calories, maintaining territorial boundaries, and fighting rivals. Dental wear patterns support this. Male Neanderthal teeth show extensive grinding damage consistent with chronic stress behaviors. Compare this to contemporary modern human sites: Kafze Cave in Israel, School Cave on Mount Carmel. Early modern human remains show no such sexual dimorphism in diet or stress markers. Males and females consumed similar resources, shared the same territories. The difference in social organization couldn't be starker. Dr. Marcia Ponce de Leon's reconstruction of Neanderthal pelvic anatomy reveals another piece of the puzzle. Neanderthal births were extraordinarily difficult. Pelvic canal measurements from Lafarassier show dimensions barely adequate for infant delivery. Birth complications likely killed many mothers and babies. In populations already stressed by resource competition, every successful birth became precious. This amplified the importance of paternity certainty. Microscopic analysis of Neanderthal baby teeth tells an even darker story. Barium levels in dental enamel track weaning patterns. Neanderthal infants weaned later than modern human babies, staying on mother's milk for up to 4 years. Extended nursing creates longer birth intervals, fewer children per female lifetime, higher investment per offspring. The evolutionary stakes of paternity uncertainty skyrocketed. Paleoclimatic data from ice cores places this drama in context. The period between 60,000 and 40,000 years ago saw rapid climate oscillations. Dansgaard-Oeschger events, sudden warming and cooling cycles lasting decades. Neanderthal populations expanded and contracted with these climate swings. During harsh periods, group sizes dropped to as few as 8 to 12 individuals. In such small groups, paternity uncertainty became existential terror. Mathematical models show that in populations under 20 individuals, a single case of extra pair mating could reduce a male's genetic contribution by 15 to 20%. Neanderthal males couldn't afford that risk. The archaeological record from Gorham's Cave in Gibraltar shows the extremes they reached to prevent it. This site contains the last known Neanderthal occupation, 28,000 years ago. Stone arrangements in the deepest chambers suggest ritualized behavior. Researchers found circles of mammoth bones surrounding female skeletal remains, possible evidence of captivity or protective isolation during reproductive periods. Lithic analysis from Neanderthal sites across France reveals another control mechanism. Tool production was highly gendered. Males monopolized spear point manufacture. Females worked hide scrapers and processing tools, but chemical residue analysis shows females rarely handled hunting weapons. This wasn't efficiency, it was control. Disarmed females couldn't resist male coalitions or defend themselves during forced mate exchanges. The Neanderthal Y chromosome tells its own story of male competition. Genetic diversity on the male sex chromosome is catastrophically low. Modern human populations show Y chromosome lineages dating back 60,000 years. Neanderthal Y chromosomes all trace to a single common ancestor around 350,000 years ago. This suggests repeated population bottlenecks where only a few males reproduced successfully. Stable isotope analysis from a Mood cave in Israel reveals the geographic scale of mate guarding. Neanderthal remains show limited mobility throughout their lifetimes. Strontium signatures match local geology. Oxygen isotopes suggest they rarely traveled more than 50 kilometers from their birth sites. Modern humans from the same period show much wider ranging patterns. They moved hundreds of kilometers, establishing trade networks and mating opportunities across vast distances. This isolation had genetic consequences. DNA from Okladnikov Cave in Siberia shows Neanderthal populations were more inbred than any known human society. Coefficients of relatedness reached levels typically seen only in laboratory mouse colonies. Parents and offspring, brothers and sisters, uncles and nieces. The desperate mathematics of mate guarding in declining populations. Forensic analysis of cut marks on Neanderthal bones reveals the violence this system generated. Researchers at University College London examined over 400 bone fragments from multiple sites. 67% showed evidence of intentional defleshing. But the pattern wasn't random cannibalism. Specific bones were targeted. Femurs for marrow extraction, skulls for brain access, ritual dismemberment designed to send messages. The timing of these violent episodes correlates with resource stress. Pollen analysis from Neanderthal cave deposits shows periods of reduced vegetation preceded waves of interpersonal violence. When food became scarce, competition for mates intensified. Archaeological layers containing human bones with cut marks consistently date to climate downturns, but the most revealing evidence comes from pathogen analysis. Ancient DNA from Neanderthal coprolites, fossilized feces, shows they carried parasitic loads 20 to 30 times higher than contemporary modern humans. Intestinal worms, bacterial infections, viral diseases, close inbreeding had compromised their immune systems. The very behaviors designed to ensure genetic survival were destroying their ability to fight disease. Paleoparasitology. Studies from multiple Neanderthal sites paint a grim picture of endemic illness. Roundworm eggs and coprolites from Spy Cave suggest chronic intestinal infections. Tapeworm segments and fecal remains from El Sidron indicate nutritional deficiency from parasitic load. Bacterial DNA analysis shows persistent respiratory pathogens that would have caused chronic coughing and weakness. The immune system genes tell the most damning story. HLA complex analysis, genes responsible for recognizing and fighting pathogens, shows Neanderthal populations had lost crucial variants through genetic drift. Modern human HLA diversity is 20 times greater than Neanderthal diversity. This left them vulnerable to epidemic diseases that modern humans could survive. Archaeological evidence supports this genetic vulnerability. Neanderthal sites show repeated abandonment and reoccupation patterns, consistent with population crashes from disease outbreaks. Layers of ash and debris separate occupation periods, suggesting groups fled infected areas and returned only after pathogens subsided. Modern hunter-gatherer societies show us alternative strategies Neanderthals never adopted. The Hadza of Tanzania practice serial monogamy with frequent partner switching. Paternity uncertainty remains high, but males invest in all children within their band. The Kung of the Kalahari maintain extensive gift exchange networks that create obligations across dozens of groups. These strategies maintain genetic diversity while reducing violent competition. Neanderthals had the cognitive capacity for such flexibility. Evidence from Bruniquel Cave in France shows they could plan complex projects. Deep underground chambers arranged with stalagmite circles dating to 176,000 years ago. They understood symbolism, cooperation, and long-term thinking. But their social evolution remained locked in mate-guarding patterns that served them well in stable environments. The arrival of modern humans in Europe triggered the final crisis. Radiocarbon dates from sites across the continent show a 4,500-year period of coexistence. Layer upon layer of archaeological evidence reveals escalating competition. Modern human sites show rapid technological innovation, new hunting techniques, sophisticated art, trade goods from thousands of kilometers away. Neanderthal sites from this period show different adaptations. Fortified cave entrances, hidden caches of tools and food, evidence of night raids and defensive positions. They weren't trying to innovate. They were trying to survive using the same territorial strategies that had worked for millennia. The genetic legacy tells the final story. Modern humans carry Neanderthal nuclear DNA from ancient male lineages, but no Neanderthal mitochondrial DNA survives. This means modern human males occasionally mated with Neanderthal females, but Neanderthal males never successfully bred with modern human females. Their mate guarding systems prevented the very exchanges that might have saved their species. Ancient protein analysis from dental calculus, fossilized plaque, reveals the final irony. Late Neanderthal sites show consumption of plants previously avoided. Desperate diversification of diet in the face of competition. They were learning, adapting, but their social systems couldn't evolve fast enough to match their environmental challenges. Proteomics analysis identifies specific plant proteins in Neanderthal dental calculus from sites dating to 35,000 years ago. Bitter roots, typically avoided by herbivores. Toxic seeds, requiring extensive processing to remove harmful compounds. Tree bark, rich in tannins that interfere with protein digestion. These weren't dietary preferences, they were signs of starvation. Comparative analysis with modern human sites from the same period shows the contrast starkly. Modern human dental calculus contains proteins from a wide variety of processed foods, cooked grains, fermented plant materials, evidence of sophisticated food preparation techniques that extracted maximum nutrition from available resources. The difference reflects deeper cognitive flexibility. Modern humans could rapidly adapt their subsistence strategies to changing environments. Neanderthals remained locked in behavioral patterns optimized for previous ecological conditions. Their mate-guarding obsessions left no mental space for innovative problem-solving when resources became scarce. Metabolic analysis of late Neanderthal bones reveals the physiological cost of this inflexibility. Stress indicators in skeletal remains reach levels associated with chronic malnutrition. Cortisol signatures suggest constant activation of fight-or-flight responses. Growth arrest lines in long bones indicate repeated periods of severe nutritional deficiency during development. The last Neanderthal populations survived in isolated refuges. Gibraltar, northern Spain, southern Italy, small groups clinging to familiar territories. DNA from these final populations shows even lower diversity than earlier sites. The mate-guarding systems that once ensured survival had become evolutionary dead ends. Ground-penetrating radar surveys at Vindige Cave in 2019 revealed something the original excavators missed. A secondary burial chamber containing the remains of 37 individuals, all adult males, all showing evidence of violent death. Carbon dating places them at 38,000 years ago, the final millennia of Neanderthal occupation in the region. Cut marks on the bones match tool signatures from the same site. They killed each other with their own weapons. The last Neanderthal died fighting his brother.